Welcome back to Undulations. So, a member of my very small bubble tested positive for coronavirus, and so they're doing okay now. And meanwhile, my daughter and I have been here quarantining, sub-quarantining, getting tested, and we're out of that now and doing okay too. First thing, just hope everybody's doing well and stay safe. Now, next thing, I'm about to cross a pretty big milestone, 4K subscribers on this channel. And so I thought I'd just do a fun short video to celebrate that. We'll do some stuff with some sound and sampling, and I'll do something with the zero coast at the end. Thanks again for watching, for subscribing, and for the comments. I really appreciate it, and it has been a lot of fun getting to 4K. So let's go ahead and dive in. So a couple of years ago, a friend of mine went to Morocco and got food cooked in a tagine all the time. And so I thought I'd like to have a tagine and bought a couple of cookbooks. Embarrassed to say that I have not cooked anything in it. And I mainly use it as an egg cup. It's a pretty expensive egg cup, but what I notice a lot when I move this thing around is that it's got a really nice tone. So I was curious, what is the pitch of my tagine? So let's see if we can figure that out. Got a kalimba over here. All right, so it sounds like my tagine is in a F. But next, I've had the thought, what about things that are very slow in our lives? They've got basically frequencies associated with them at much higher octaves. So you just keep doubling something that is slow. Eventually it will turn into a tone and have a pitch. And so I'm going to go listen to the blinker in my car. All right, it's got kind of a nice groove, but I'm going to speed it way up in Audacity and see what the pitch is. All right, I've cleaned it up a little bit and it sounds like this. So it took a minute to figure out how to do it. I ended up doubling it so that keeps the pitch. And then, but it starts to, it's a very tiny impulse. And so as you shrink it, it loses volume as well. And so it just sort of turns almost staticky, but you've got the timing here. So I laid down another tone over it, which I generated by a frequency of 195 Hertz that lines up nicely with the blinker and sounds like this. And so that turns out to be a really nice G. Now I'll always know that my turn signal is playing a really low G. So we've all seen videos where people sample a bunch of household objects, get sounds, shape them, filter them, and then make a song, make a beat out of that. And I've always wanted to try something different, which is to sample one sound and then slow it way down to see if there's sort of a beat that is contained in that sound. So I'm going to give it a go. I decided to try it with this pot and the sync. All right, so now I've got those sync sounds in Audacity. And I'm just going to poke around, stretch and scale things, and look for a likely rhythmic candidate. Alright, so I think this part looks pretty promising. It sounds like this. And I'm going to try and come up with a way to sort out where the transients are, and then take that into the DAW and put some MIDI notes along with it, some various instruments, and we'll see how it turns out. Alright, so now I've got that little clip in Ableton, and I'm going to throw in some MIDI notes that align with the sounds in the sample. Alright, so I've got some percussion that are lined up with the main peaks on the sync sound, and it sounds like this. Pretty erratic, but you know, what to expect. And so I'm going to add some bass to it, and we'll leave it at that. Alright, so I thought it would be fun to close this video out with an old favorite, the Zero Coast, and I'm just going to talk through the patch on it and play the video out. Thanks again for watching. Alright, so it's a pretty straightforward patch. I'm taking the square wave out of the oscillator, going into the gate, and so that's sort of the theme of this, is that I'm using the audio to trigger the contour module of the Zero Coast. And then I'm using the end of onset from the contour to go and set the tempo over here, which controls how quickly the randomizer, the step random voltage signal, comes out. I've got that scaled here and going into the audio itself, so it's sort of a kind of a loop. But the key thing is that I've got the attenuator on the negative voltages turned down, so it's sending the voltages way low. And so as it is, we get sort of a kind of low, occasional highs. And I should also mention that I'm sending the audio out through the slow reverb, which has been another one of my favorite things on this channel. Now, the next thing I want to do is turn on the cycling button of the slope module. That's going to be a audio frequency LFO, and it's coming in through the normal connection to the multiply and overtone section, and so it gives nice timbral changes. And I'm going to just play with the different tempos there, some of this attenuator setting there, and we'll just give it a listen.
What?